you are listening to the Kinetic Man podcast. I'm Stuart.
And I'm David, and we want to walk with you on the journey to living a life defined by uncommon action that is full of purpose, adventure, and meaningful relationships. Our goal is to refine our why while helping you find yours, and together achieve our best and highest purpose. In the end, we'll drive each other to leave the potential life behind and become kinetic men.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Stu, and hey, we talk a lot about real estate investing on this podcast episode. And for most of you know, probably that David and I are also real estate investors. We really love real estate and think this is probably the best way to create financial freedom for your family. Just ask my son. Hey, Wells, do you like investing in real estate?
Yes.
What do you do to invest in real estate?
Give my money to the bank of Dad.
Give your money to the bank of Dad, and the bank of Dad gives really good interest rates to him. But hey, if you're interested in investing with us, with David and I promise you we're not going to give you the same interest rate that Wells gets, but we'd be happy to discuss some opportunities that we have coming up. Just send us an email, Stuart@storehouse310.com. Again, Stuart@storehouse310.com. Go enjoy the show. Gentlemen, what's going on? It's good to see you guys. Justin, fellow Texan, howdy. How you doing?
Howdy. Good. How are you guys?
Doing great, man.
Justin, I've been learning Texan after our last podcast. Stu just got back from Texas, so he was speaking some Texan. So up, double chuck, baki grill. There you go.
Justin, have you ever
Texan.
heard any of that said in Texas from
Yes,
any Texan ever?
Yes, you have. 100%. Every day.
Is it somebody you got in touch with mumbling or something like that? And who knows what they were saying?
Yeah, it's just the Texas language.
The Texas
you
language.
You guys can't wait to be your own country.
Yeah.
That's
Whatever
probably a fair point. That's a fair
Would
point.
be cool though, because then we'd have another Kinetic Man in another country, yet another country. So that'd be
There you
kind of
go.
cool.
The country of Texas.
Cool.
The country of Texas.
Yeah.
Before we started recording this podcast, we were just joking about the challenges, specifically of summer and trying to work from home and having all these plans set in place of the kids being quiet and not disturbing or distracting while we try to run a podcast and do any other work. And I don't know about you guys, but it's been a joyous struggle. I'll say that, a joyous struggle of trying to work from home. I mean, David and I have an office, but we've spent a lot of time at home this summer, and we haven't put our kids in summer camp a lot. And so there's been quite a bit of a challenge associated with trying to do actual work from home this summer. Have you guys experienced any of that?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I don't know how my wife does it with them. Usually, we'll get into it, but I'm off site or away from home quite a bit and working on a project. And I'm grateful for the time I get to spend at home and try and maximize that. But when Monday rolls around, she can usually tell it's time for Dad to get back out of town because I don't know how we got 3 little boys and they are busy. So.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be honest and transparent. I'm ready for the kids to go back to school.
Yeah,
like 100%. Like I'm a lot of and I think they're probably ready. They're not going to admit it, but there's a lot of tension and fighting in the house. My kids just got back from my older 2. We sent them to a Christian camp, and it was awesome location up in the mountains, beautiful place. And it's inspired me to also look into some family camps to do some family camps here in the future, where we all go into this environment and just really focus on, Jesus and spirituality and all that. But I'll tell you, they learned this song, the fruits of the spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control, right? And it goes into a song and they do this whole thing. And I literally was like, they were fighting within 30 minutes of being back together. And I was like, where is the show me anywhere? You're singing this song and I love it. I love that you guys are in the word. Where's the joy? Where's the peace, the patience, the kindness, the goodness, the gentleness, the faithfulness and self-control? Like, where is it? Show me that. Like in you guys is what you're.
Are
so
you
I'm like using the Bible to.
Are you asking that about them, or are you asking that about yourself?
All the above. All the above.
Yes.
It's all just be real, man. I think it's okay for parents to also admit that, like, hey, man, this isn't a walk in the park. It's not. There's been a ton of joy. We have an upcoming trip. Actually, at the end of this week, a 4-day float trip down a river where we pull off the river and camp every night with a bunch of families. It's going to be awesome. But interspersed in that, right, is like some real challenges, and so we'll get into that, Justin, and what a balanced life looks like, and if that's even real, and just how do you maximize your influence as a dad, as a husband, as a leader in the workplace, all these things, and not lose your mind.
Yeah, that is the trick.
So Justin, you and I met, man, it was a while ago. I think we met at the Best Ever conference that was happening in Denver.
Yep.
It was like maybe the second conference they had ever done.
Yeah,
Maybe the first or second.
2016, 2017.
Yeah, and it was
Mm-hmm.
still like pretty small. And
Yep.
and you and I had just like I think we had breakfast together. We just like randomly sat at the table and started talking to each other. Found out, we were both originally from Texas. You're still in Texas. And then like we sat next to another lady who was from Texas, and we all connected, and the Texas roots were strong at that table. And then we just kind of continued to like stay in touch, right? And
Right.
you were getting into the commercial real estate world. I was as well, and bounced ideas off of each other. You had me on your podcast a long time ago. Is that still going, by the way? Your
No,
podcast? No,
no,
shut that down.
I shut it down. Once we started
Um,
having kids, it had to make
it's
some
tough,
choices.
man.
Yeah.
It's tough, man, for sure. And then eventually we started this Kinetic Man Mastermind, and you joined us, and it's you were kind of one of the first, but besides the OGs, I think you were house one, correct?
Correct.
And
Yeah,
so
that's
yeah,
right.
man. So it's been a fun journey of just kind of continuing to get to know each other and stay connected and learn all the cool stuff that you're doing. And so let's just get into it all. If you could just give us a little bit of background about who you are and then what you do.
Sure. Let's see. Well, back when we met, I was trying to learn how to, I guess, take a lump sum of money and invest it for my family. So my father was killed in an auto accident in 16, and so out of that came a portion of funds that we'd never had in our family. So I started uh, researching and trying to find some stuff. So I found apartments at that time and went down the rabbit hole trying to explore all of the nuances of that, the players in the space. And, that led me to relationship there with you, as well as other individuals that I've kept in touch with, some of the operators. And that kind of launched me, I guess, into exploration in the real estate space. I've tried flipping a house. I've tried mortgage notes. We've invested in storage and mobile home parks and all kinds of stuff. So, anyway, in 20, I guess, 20, I, left my W-2 income job. So I've worked in oil and gas for about 15 years. And with that company, I was in charge of compliance, quality, supply chain, different things like that. So I traveled to Asia quite a bit. And, it was a very small company at the time and ended up growing to a pretty sizable um, enterprise with, I don't know, 50 people or something. It wasn't anything too crazy, but still, I watched it scale and participated in a lot of that. And it was a good experience because I was a young kid out of school, a million ideas, a lot of energy, and they let me do quite a bit of stuff that other places would have had a lot more red tape. Some of that probably for the right reasons. So certainly made a lot of mistakes, cost some people a bunch of money, I'm sure, along the way, but ultimately added a lot of value. Anyway, when I left that company in 20, I put together a package here with a group of guys where we were going to develop an RV resort. So that's the project that I'm on right now. We have about 2 or 3 months left to wrap this thing up and launch it. And during this phase or season of life, I've been basically the project manager. We're the general contractors of our own project. We went out for bid early on, post COVID, and prices of everything have been nuts, as we all know, ever since, for everything from groceries to lumber and steel and everything else. So that has presented a huge challenge, but I've developed a lot of good relationships. I've learned a lot how I learn is doing stuff, and I'm doing it all, you know. So I've got an operating partner here that's great that helps, you know, helps me spin the plates and keep on the right stuff moving as far as the schedule goes. But you know, it's without, uh, you know, it's been a challenge. So for example, we've gotten 75 inches of rain in 2024 alone. So like a year and a half of rain in 7 months. And that's, you know, probably from here to Houston, there's a lot of construction companies with that common situation. So, and then just your standard stuff, you know, schedules, guys working on top of each other, conflict resolution, you know, mistakes on an engineering drawing that led to a mistake in an installation that you got to unwind and, you know, find different ways to find, you know, common ground and be fair with the guys. So, yep, I've learned a lot from that. As
So real
yeah,
real quick though, you know, you talked about you started you know, an unfortunate event and you had some money and you were looking at you know what you could do with it, right? And you went from like notes and investments into potential syndications, whatever, to what this project that you're alluding to and you're talking about right now. Like the very, very different things. Like I don't know if I mean help us understand the scale of this project and just, you know, just give us a little bit of background on what, you know, what exactly it is, but also how you there's a at least in my mind there's a significant gap between you know, mortgage notes and the scale of the project that you're doing currently.
yeah, I'd say maybe ignorance was bliss, or you know, there's no way if you'd asked me 2 years ago that I would be doing this, that I would have thought that this would have been the size or scale to your point. You know, I don't know what I had in my mind exactly, but I knew, you know, there's great opportunity in this space. There's high demand. The cash flow is terrific. So was it going to be a challenge? Sure. But so on this property, we're just under 40 acres of land. We're right on the lake, northeast of Houston, Lake Livingston. And uh, basically what we've done is built a city. You know, the local municipal areas or facilities didn't have water or sewer for us. So we had to drill our own wells, put our own water treatment facility on site. We had to build our own wastewater treatment facility as well. All of this gets permitted through the state. And then not to mention, you know, you get miles of concrete, the infrastructure that it takes to put in. We put in it was raw land, you know, from tree clearing, silt fence insulation, all the way to the sewer system, storm system, the water, electric, metal buildings, just all kinds of elements to it. So, you know, I bet at any given time, I've probably got 25 different contracts going. And, you know, I don't have 25 different subcontractors necessarily, but I've got a variety of projects that, you know, 5 or 6 of them are working on, and um, they've got subcontractors as well. So it's been a dance.
And what's the end state of this project? What is it?
So it'll be so this RV resort will have right at 200 spaces, about 40 cabins, and those can sleep 6. And it's got a resort style pool, an ice house with a restaurant and bar, swim up bar at the pool, and then a clubhouse that's got like a general store. So, you know, it's its own, each one of those elements is a revenue stream of sorts, and each one of them is going to have a different uh, mini business plan, I guess, if you will, to operate a restaurant. I've never operated a restaurant. We've actually worked with a local guy that has a restaurant here in town that's going to work a deal with us on leasing this space and operating that facility for us. So, yeah,
What's the total cost, total raise of all of this being done?
man. So there's I raised um, money, private money, and just because of the nature of that, I don't want to put their business out there. But you know, it's been a substantial, and you know, it's creeped on us because of when I put this thing together and not knowing what would come of COVID, it's it has ballooned. So, it's privately funded at this point, but all these things, the time that it's taken, all this, there's a cost to all that capital, right? So,
Yeah. It's it's so we've, not to the scale that you're at, but we've endured a project, much smaller project than what you're doing of similar challenges, right? Like dealing with the city and the timelines and figuring out who we need to talk to and like finding out, that you need to put this whatever in a fire suppression system that we weren't
yeah,
planning on. And that's, 200 grand over budget and, continued like challenges of supply and demand and people. And like, there's all these challenges, right?
yep,
So how do you, I was talking to somebody, that's not in the real estate space and it was a friend of ours and she was like, how do you handle all this? Like, she's like, I'd be so stressed out every single day of like the timelines and the budget and the money. And she's like, how do you handle it all? And I didn't really have a really good answer for her, but I think it was just like, well, you go with the flow, you deal with the punches, you're adaptable, you're flexible, and you figure it out. And so like I'm curious, like, well, how would you answer that question? Like, how would you answer like, how do you handle all this? How do you handle all the stress of dealing with the changes and the overages and all this stuff?
yeah. This it's been challenging, I guess, just understanding. I'm a constant learner, so I understand that through doing is typically how I learn. And your point, learn something after you needed it. So do it differently next time. This one's been uh, unique in that during the process, uh, I took over a metal building or a fabrication shop, basically metal fabrication, steel supply business. They were going insolvent. We had used them on this project, and I my background in oil field and fabrication and stuff like that gave me a level of comfort with it. So I took that on as well. And when I did that, my to-do list went from, uh, you know, somewhat manageable to no chance, but the opportunity was there. So, I got creative. I hired an assistant to help me manage the schedule, time, calendar. I also carved out pieces of equity for the right people to get into the right seats because I can't do the day-to-day stuff on that. I'm focused on this project. A lot of our meetings, Sundays, nights, Saturdays, whatever, is how we handle that. Just because I have to. That's where I'm at right now, and spinning the plate. So, as far as how I manage that all, I guess that's at the end of the day, that's it is understanding goals, having clarity on all of that, allocating the right amount of time for it. And so I read a book and another coaching program that I'm in. It's called Buy Back Your Time. And the author of that, was,
Is that Dan
he's,
Martell?
yeah, Dan Martell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's uh, run successful and scaled multiple businesses at the same time. So, I'm always looking for somebody that's done what I want to do. And if they're willing to give me a hand in that, me try and accelerate the learning curve a little bit, then I'm up for that. So, that's been, one of the biggest, changes I've made to help balance all of the spinning plates that I have. So, um, yeah,
I think that's interesting how opportunity begets opportunity, right? You didn't go into this project desiring to buy a steel fabrication business. I'm assuming you didn't. I don't
I did
know.
not.
Maybe you did. But and I think there's also, I'm curious, how has this impacted your family life and how are you we talk about it all the time and it sounds super unromantic, but what doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done, right? And so we talk about our family like literally being on our calendar and making, because I personally don't believe, I kind of was joking earlier in the call on balanced life or balancing time. I personally don't believe in that at all. I think it's a complete myth, and it's a lie that like really gets people twisted. It helps it forces the idea of not being present where you're at, right? Like if I'm working when I'm with my kids, then I'm wrong. I'm not really dadding or being a husband. If I'm trying to have my kids on my mind and trying to balance talking to them and all that while I'm working, like I'm not honoring the people that the project that I'm doing. It just doesn't really, there is no real balance. I don't think that's not what balance is. It's not a 50-50 at every given time. I think it's 100-0 and 100-0, right? Ideally. And so how have you managed, how has this, changed your family dynamic, and how have you managed that?
One of the things in his book that he mentions is pre-planning your year. And so starting this year, 24 is when I hired my assistant, and in the end of 23, the last portion of it, I took all the events, that come up during the year, your anniversary, a summer trip here. And the first thing that goes on my calendar for the year is all of those things, kids' birthdays, my birthday, which I don't necessarily care much about, but the kids go crazy for. So, and then that's stuck, you know what I mean? And I plan around that. So, prior to all of this, I never had any of that on the calendar. It's just, and I wasn't so busy, I could, uh, go, but or I could not forget, and not that you want to, but same thing with kids' games and things like that. All that stuff goes on the schedule now. Their practice, and if I, this. We got two older boys and then a baby boy, and the two older boys play baseball and practices and games. So fortunately, I didn't miss any games this year because of the travel. I'm about an hour and a half away from home and usually stay up here for the week. But anyway, that's one of the main elements I would say that helped me a lot this year is, it's January and I already know in August I got these events in my life, and that helps. And then on a monthly basis, look at it and make adjustments. Daily, I have a call with my assistant. We'll go over what we have for the week, what we have in the next 30 days, what's on the list today. But, I was at a point where I was waking up at 2 in the morning. I forgot to do this. I forgot to do that. I can't sleep. So this system that I've been using now with the assistant and with some software, we use Asana for task management, basically. I'm not doing that. I know exactly what I got done today. I can see it checkbox off, so I feel some level of accomplishment, and I know what I'm doing tomorrow and Friday, and this weekend, all that kind of stuff. So
How has that change impacted, your family? Um, going from, you know, an oil and gas business when you're traveling a lot, you're going overseas, you had kids in the equation, and now, you're still very busy with work, but you've intentionally like put stuff on the calendar, you're time blocking stuff, and you're managing that. How has that impacted your home life, your family life with, wife and kids?
yeah, I think my wife will give me feedback, and so she said, I mean, she notices substantial changes from, I guess, maybe 23 when I was trying to do it all and didn't have additional support, to this year in 24. It's been much more, I guess, less chaotic. But it's challenging. I'm up here during the week and she's down there playing mom and dad, and it's been a journey there as well. So, as far as blocking the time off with the kids, one of the things that we do is the family boardroom, and that's one of the things I think I
Yeah, man.
saw it first with you, Stu. So
Yeah.
that we added a third kid, and that got a little more complicated. So, but it could still be done, and we just tag a team member, family or whatever, neighbor, and hand the little guy off and make sure that the kids get the attention that they all want from us. I put the phone down, swim, do things, try and be present. It doesn't always work because I'll get if I try and swim on a Thursday or Friday night or something like that, and something's going on here, I have to take the calls sometimes. So it's not perfect, but the intention's there. I think it starts there and gets better with time.
Yeah, dude.
What's
It's
oh,
Go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead, Steve.
I was just gonna say that it's good to hear that, man. It's I love that you're doing the family board meeting. That was a book that we recommend to the Kinetic Man Mastermind of we had Jim Shields on our podcast about doing those intentional 4 hour blocks of time with your kids and being present and being focused here. So it's cool, man. Goody, I
Mm-hmm.
know you had a question. What you got?
Well, I'm just curious, like, what's the when you with I think it's critical as we plan out, and it's awesome that you have like a year, I think if more of us did that, looked out that far and said, okay, what are the key things this year that are most important to me? And you got those things on the calendar. It makes a lot of things significantly easier. For my family, we closed on a gym in March, and so like everything that we kind of had planned and the way that summer was going to look, it just threw everything on its head, right? Because now my wife is very much invested in that gym, which is awesome. And so sometimes planning that doesn't survive, first, second, third contact, but to have those things prioritized and to at least get those on paper is important. I also think it's important to look at, the 3 and the 10 year, just to get an idea of where you're driving and where all this is heading. And so I'm just curious, as you look ahead, what's the goal? Like, where do you see yourself? Because I think you said this project's about to wrap up, right? You guys are
This one
almost
is,
done. Like,
yeah, the original vision with it was to build a portfolio of these. So that is still the vision. They'll be contingent on getting this one open, getting some cash flow going, and getting some money paid back to the investors before they're interested in sinking some more money into this. So, and then on the fabrication steel business, that one's got some specific goals on scaling and uh, potentially exiting or something like that, some sort of capital event in a 5 year horizon. So on planning, on that company, we use EOS. So, a lot of those principles are super helpful in having a 10-year vision, a 3 year plan, target, 1 year, and then quarterly rocks and things like that. So I approach that specifically that way. As far as, personal goals, yeah, I've got a background on my phone that I made on Canva that has a variety of goals on it. So it's kind of a collage or I guess of images with statements. So this year I wanted to consume 12 books, take a family trip, do this in business, and then I've got some longer term horizon, goals that what that does again from Martell's book was, just it keeps it top of mind. You have to look at it. If you're looking at your phone, you got to open that up and are you, when you open that phone, makes you think, am I opening this, to go surf the internet or whatever on Facebook, or is it going to meet one of these goals? So I like that.
That is cool, man. I like that idea. I might steal it.
Yeah.
I need to read that book. I haven't read it. It's been on my read list for a while, so I gotta go check it out after this call. Um, so you've took on a third business as well, correct? You're starting to do some business coaching, and all of this has come through this RV park development.
Right.
Tell us about that and how that got started and what you're doing there.
Yeah. So on the coaching front, basically being a general contractor of this, I've seen what construction subs are struggling with, time management, communicating the vision to their team, some very basic elements that when you're out of the business you can see, but when you're in the day-to-day grind, it just no way you see it. So what I've done with a lot of these guys is put systems in place. Here's how you track milestone payments, progress on it, how you schedule, your time as well as your crews and things like that. And then, for the guys that really do want to scale, here's what I'm doing in this other business with developing a team. How I got there's different than others. I carved out a equity components for my stuff, and other people may want to hire for that or come up with something else. But ultimately, the objective, when you running a business like that, if you're a solopreneur, it's a lonely journey, and even if you've got some team built out behind you. So, really, what the objective is to establish a what do you call it? Fractional kind of board member, just to bounce ideas off of. Here's what I'm struggling with. So it's a weekly strategy session, and there's teaching elements and tools and things like that, components in there to help drive their business to achieve the goals that we outline. But more than anything, it's just having somebody in your corner, which sometimes it's when you don't, it's like we said earlier, it's lonely.
So, and I just want to plug it. What is this place called? When can we start coming to visit?
Yeah.
Give us the details, man. Tell us how folks can actually go
So
there. It's just incredible site.
yeah, the RV resort is called Lagoon Ranch. So lagoonranch.com. We will be starting to take reservations for this winter. We'll open up around Thanksgiving this year. So we'll have some soft openings. The restaurant will come online. And then, we'll get ready for peak season next year, in the spring. But anyway, lagoonranch.com. And then on the coaching side, it's elevateboardroom.com. And yeah, that's the goal is to just help business owners and entrepreneurs get out of the solopreneur, work in your business mindset, and put the systems in place that'll allow them to scale ultimately to 8 figures, which is where. So I took that business from 7 to 8 figures in about 24 months, and our goal was 9 figures. So, yep.
That's cool,
And for
man.
those, I'm assuming, do you do out of state steel fabrication as well for our steel fabrication needing folks listening to the podcast?
Yeah, yeah. There's a big audience of that. Yeah. So yeah, we do. We ship nationwide. And what we're doing with that is establishing a dealer network. So I've got the supply chain and the material side all buttoned up. And a gap in the space is uh, availability to what we offer on the back end engineering and design and things like that. So if you need the material supply element, as well as the engineering support, and you have fabrication capacity, then you plug into our deal flow and the goal is to establish a dealer network, say 12 around the United States, and pump them, help them grow their brand while we kind of do the back end.
Nice. And what's that business called?
That is called Global Steel Partners.
Nice.
Globalsteelpartners.com. Yep.
Um, you said something that I thought was really interesting, and we actually touched on it a little bit before we hit the record button, about you talking to your KCPs inside the mastermind, and really enjoying that. And then like when you get changed to a new KCP, a kinetic partner, that you want to go back to the other one because you missed the conversations. And there's just this element of human connection, and this idea of supporting each other, asking each other questions, mentoring each other, coaching each other, holding each other accountable. And you're right, man. Like in the entrepreneur world, in the solopreneur world, it can get really lonely, especially if you're just running a business by yourself. And so I guess my question is like, what have you both experienced in your own journey of solopreneurship, entrepreneurship, and what now are you helping, coach and mentor to those around you, um, to get past this idea of you're not alone, you're not by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. You can feel like you're on an island. for
For
sure. I
sure.
guess is the best way to put it. On the coaching side, it's weekly calls, accountability, those types of elements. It's tools as well, frameworks, all that kind of stuff. Ultimately, I think that the time management, the first thing you do in the program is do a time energy audit and figure out where all that stuff's going, where's you're finishing your day and you feel like you got nothing accomplished, but you've been busy all day, right? So we've all been there and done it. So the first thing we'll do is dive in and really understand where your energy is going, where that energy is going, your time's going. We'll look at some adjustments there. Um, some of the guys want more time with their family, more balance. So like we talked about earlier, needs to get on the calendar, as weird as that is, or maybe I don't know what the mindset that kept me from doing that originally. I don't want them to feel like they're clients or something like that. My kid's birthday is on my calendar though, so but it's top of mind when August comes around or any other
Well, it's a
month.
lot worse to forget about the birthday, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a lot worse to
absolutely.
put it into the calendar.
Yeah, I'm fortunate not to have done that. I guess I course corrected prior to that happening, but yeah, there's just a lot. You got a lot of strings being pulled on you as the business owner, entrepreneur, team member, as well as dad, husband, all of these things. So you really got to, I don't know, yeah, ultimately rank them and say, here's number one is my family. A lot of us, everybody's got different reasons for doing stuff. A lot of what drives us is the family, but uh, during the process of growing a business, you can lose sight of that, and then your kids, you say it a lot, or you've posted some stuff too. I mean, they don't care how much money you got or anything. They just want to play with you and have your attention, not compete with your phone and that kind of stuff. So um, I think ultimately that's what I've gotten from it and what I hope to pass on or share with others.
Yeah, dude, I love it, man. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. I mean, we experienced it ourselves, man. You say you're doing this work for the family, but at the end of the day, you look and see what you're doing. Your family, all they want is you to be present. And
Right.
um, you get lost in that sometimes. We did, which is, why we made some massive changes in our lives to be more present and actually do what we say is important, right?
Yep. There you go.
But there is still a lot of importance in the work that we do. We can make a lot of difference in people's lives and in our own lives, and so there's that importance too. So there's a lot of
Yep.
purpose and why behind the work that we do. So just got to just got to somehow try to balance it all.
Right.
Um, but
The trick.
this is good, man. Good. You got anything else before we sign off?
No, man, I appreciate it. We've been looking forward to having you on the show just to kind of get some insight into what you're doing and how you're scaling both in and outside the house and just for me, it's you've got my brain going on some of the things that I'm looking at in the future and really maximizing the opportunity to not only to take a time assessment, right? I think a lot of us should really do that. Just really notice where our time is going and if that stuff is worthy of our time, right? And you set your goals. Okay, like I want to work out every day and I want to be in the Word of God and I want to spend time with my family. Okay, cool. Like, do you actually set, by the time you go to bed and by the time you wake up in the morning and everything you have going on, is it really a priority? And I think there's an honesty that we should have with ourselves to be like, no, it's really not because I don't do anything to accommodate those things. So I love the idea of the goals and then pulling out the calendar and looking a year ahead. And you don't have to wait. One of the things that I think is critical, don't wait for January 1st. Things change between January and July, right? Or January and August. Like reassess, like look at the year, like always be ahead a year. And that's a great place to be. And that's not something that I've traditionally done very well. And I've admit here that since a significant life change, like, closing on a gym, I've not busted out the calendar and been like, okay, like how do I make adjustments with this? And I'm the head football coach for my son. So I'm starting to see like there's some real conflicts coming up here with my daughter being in high level soccer. me coaching, my wife doing the gym, and I'm like, okay, like there's not enough people in this house, enough
Yeah.
adults to drive, and there's not enough hours in the day. Like how do we manage this, right? How do we manage this? So I think
Well, yeah, and
it's super powerful.
the worst thing that we can do is wait until the very end and then like, day before or day of like figure out like, oh, hey, Maya has a soccer game. I'm coaching football and you need to be at the gym because you have a workout sesh. Like, how do we do this? Like, it never ends well by figuring that out like the day of or the day before, right?
Yeah. Yeah. At least you see it coming. Yeah. I think one of the things I approach, so I like a video game. I'm not a gamer or anything, but so I have 100 bars of energy during the day, and I got to be very careful on what I spend them on, and that's how I approach them.
It's good, man. I love it. Justin, this has been good, man. I appreciate your insight and just into work-life balance and energy and how you're managing that and calendar level change. You've been impactful for us. I know this podcast will be impactful for others. We'll put all of your businesses in the show notes for our listeners. Hey, guys and gals, reach out to Justin Grimes. He's a super good dude. Man of action, man of change, family man, but also runs some incredible businesses. And if you're looking for some coaching, hey, reach out to him. He's got a world of knowledge. So, Justin, thanks again, man. This has been
Yeah.
fun.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
See ya.
See ya. Thank you for listening to the Kinetic Man podcast. If you are growth-minded, community-focused, and willing to take uncommon action to redefine success and live an abundant life, visit our website at www.thekineticman.com to see all the ways we can connect.
And on our website, you can find more information on everything we're doing, like joining our meetup page to get the details on our webinars and our local Thursday gatherings here in Colorado. From our site, you can also find more information on and sign up for the next Kinetic Man retreat and the next house of our mastermind group. Finally, we always appreciate your love and support. Please share this episode and go rate us on your favorite podcast player of choice.
Thank you again. Now go take uncommon action.